So it's Coachella weekend, and I have a million things to talk about for my first video. But after I was at the airport yesterday and saw all these guys going in their private jets, flying over to the Coachella Valley to do their thing, I thought this might be a pretty good opportunity to tell my story about Coachella because it's something I never really got to share before. And I have a million other things I want to talk about, like I said, and I want to keep some of the other things for a later time as you guys maybe get to know me more and they'll have a little bit more context. So one of the biggest things driving me to go to Coachella was the fear of missing out. The fear of missing out, especially as a young teenager in high school, can drive you to do some things that maybe a little bit out of the realm of possibility or stretching yourself too thin in order to try and participate in the fun, which is perfectly fine. Doing things like that, it can really make for some very good memories. But in my case, it didn't really make so much sense. So it was the spring of 2017, and I stacked up a little bit of money being, an independent entrepreneur, if you can put two and two together. And I wasn't rolling in cash by any means. I think I had maybe $700 or $800 to my name or so. On second thought, it might have been spring of 2018, but that's not the point of this story. But you can put this timeline together and you can kind of get the era of music that it was. I don't remember who was supposed to be in the lineup, if it was someone that was going to be crazy or what was going on. But the fact of the matter was, there was a lot of people from my high school that were going. And I heard stories for the past few years being in high school. I lived in a pretty affluent area, and a lot of people, their parents sponsored their Coachella trips, and they always came back with these crazy stories. And it was a spectacle. It was something that you couldn't really miss out on. It was a once in a lifetime experience, even though it fucking happens every year, right? I would hear stories of wow, it was so good. We would sneak in. I would hear stories of all kinds of stuff that to my 16, 17-year-old brain, it sounded like the most fun thing ever. And the people that were going, they weren't really the people that were going the year I bought a ticket. It was they weren't really my closest friends, but there were people that I would hang out with at parties that I would say what's up to at school. People that I would hang out with in a group, but not most of them I wouldn't really hit up to just hang out one on one or even bother to text. It would just be people that I would see because other people brought them around, right? But we got along pretty well. So I remember going through the motions and getting like the tickets for the pre-sale and all that stuff. And I think I spent maybe $600 or $700 on the tickets. So most of the money that was to my name, right? I started plotting with the friends that were going, figuring out who I'm gonna drive up with, who I'm gonna stay with, how much the Airbnb was gonna be, and all that cool stuff. And more, I was starting to have this regret because it just seemed like all of these other costs were stacking up, pitching gas money for the ride up, pitching for the Airbnb, and all of this stuff. I mean, Airbnb, everything that was at a premium, or camping, that was also going to be expensive. I feel like you go to festivals or concerts these days, it's like it's not even like the commoners, so to speak, that are camping. It's like the rich people that are camping there as well. So even that's like a whole thing. And isn't the pizza like $16 a slice? I think it was like it's like Las Vegas prices over there. The beer's like $20 a can, all that. So putting everything together, I realized not only did I drop almost my entire life savings on this trip to Coachella, but just surviving out there was gonna wipe me clean. So it was gonna wipe me clean. I wasn't gonna have any money left after this. If I wasn't even able to go through the rest of that trip with the money, the little money that I had, or the little money I was working with. I wasn't like a lot of the other kids where my mom was just gonna pay for my Coachella trip, drop a thousand, $1,500. So she knew what was going on over there. She knew the shenanigans that were going on. She wasn't born yesterday. My mom had her party days too. Um, and that's obviously not what she wanted for me. She knew my finals were like a month away, and it's like kind of be applying for colleges and stuff. So there are much bigger priorities that I could have been focusing on with that time, and she wasn't about to shell over $1,000 or $1,500 to go do it, right? So I had the shuttle pass, I had the Coachella ticket, and I made the decision to go on my Snapchat story, which I sold a lot of other stuff on at the time. to sell that Coachella ticket and shuttle pass as well. I had a pretty big, I had a pretty large amount of people that was an audience on there, and a lot of them were customers of mine, so to speak. So one person, one person, his name was Turner. He ended up buying it, and Turner, he was into EDM, but he was also a hustler as well. So he ended up buying the ticket. He drove over. There was another girl. Her name was Alexis. I was trying to buy it as well, and I don't think I said like I'd keep it for her, and then she was lagging on when she was able to make the decision. Turner just came up with the money, no problem. So he got that ticket off my hands. Alexis was not happy on that, but we'll get more into that later. I went to school the next day, and this other kid, his name was Justin. Justin came up to me during break, and he's like, "Yo, Alex, I bought your Coachella ticket." Like, what are you talking about, man? I didn't sell my Coachella ticket to you. I sold it to Turner. He's like, "Yeah, I bought it from Turner." For real? How much you buy it from Turner for? $700. Fucking Turner, man. $700. I sold it to Turner for $600. He bought my ticket for a quick flip. What's funny was I knew Justin a lot better than this guy did. I didn't even know how they knew each other. And Justin had me on my Snapchat story too, so that's a damn shame. Going back to Alexis, that girl was super angry. I remember I met Alexis at a party that she had at her house, and that's a whole story in and of itself. Oh no, that's not how I met Alexis. Um, Alexis, I actually met through some party in high school, and I really fumbled the bag with this one, but maybe I should say that story for another day. But she was really into me, and her friend was into my friend, but we were just being idiots, and they were pretty attractive too. Um, but we kind of became friends, but it was kind of like I was playing hard to get for no reason, and so was my friend. And I think that whole thing just collapsed as soon as this Coachella ticket debacle happened because she was super angry that I didn't keep the ticket for her, to the point that one of my best friends started dating her best friend a couple of years later, and we went to Six Flags together. And she was still angry that I didn't sell the Coachella ticket to her, that I ruined her junior or senior year, that um, I ruined that weekend for her. I wasted her time. I mean, look, this is common sense, and I'm sure a lot of you guys already know this if you're closer to my age. But if you want to buy like a big ticket item off of someone, you can't just tell them to, keep it around. You gotta have your money together, and if somebody else has their money together and they take that off their hands, then so be it. That's just the nature of this world, right? And that's just capitalism. That's no reason to hold a grudge over someone. It's a Coachella ticket. I'm sure she had so many other people that she could have bought it from. Some people just want a reason to get angry, and that just shows the type of place that I grew up in, right? That her not being able to buy that Coachella ticket with probably her parents' money was something that ruined her junior year, that ruined her senior year, ruined her weekend, and it was so bad that it was on her mind 2 years later, right? Like, how ridiculous is that? So, anyways, Coachella weekend happened, and yeah, I heard a lot of the same stories that I heard the year before. People were going into Do Lab, they were taking this substance, having fun off of that substance. This person hooked up with that person. And did I have some fear of missing out? Sure, I did. Was it warranted? Not really. I think that that money ended up going towards something that ended up making me a lot more money later on, or providing me a lot more utility than spending it all on that Coachella ticket that weekend. I mean, it was probably going to be really stressful. It's a very high pressure situation being in all the way in the desert with people that aren't really your closest friends, and everyone's in a different state of mind that you don't really see them in it at school and even at parties because people are doing different stuff at Coachella than they're doing at house parties, right? Had I gone, would I be telling a much more interesting story today? Absolutely. I'd probably be telling you guys a very crazy story about what happened at Coachella 2017 or 2018, whatever year it was. And it would probably be a lot more entertaining to you guys than this. But I want to say that the moral of the story is, guys, don't drop your life savings on something just out of the fear of missing out. It's really not worth it. And you could definitely make the argument that that was the last time that I was going to be able to go to Coachella with my entire high school class there. And that is a once in a lifetime experience. The Coachella happens every year, but uh, going there with your high school class and everyone else that you know there as a community is something that only happens in that time of your life. And if I did have any regrets, it was not being able to do that. But honestly, and everyone else that's around my age is gonna be able to vouch for me as well. Those people, 98% of them do not matter after you leave. After you leave and you get that diploma, right? And people that are experienced going to raves and things like that, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like when you have a crazy time at a rave, and you feel like you're bonding with someone, it's really it's really the increased serotonin and dopamine in your brain that makes you think you're bonding with that person. And once that extra serotonin and dopamine leaves your system, you're like, why was I just talking about changing the world with this random guy or this acquaintance for, the last few hours? And you probably would remember it fondly. It would be pretty funny, but that's just not how long-lasting relationships are made, at least in my experience, because I've had a whole bunch of interactions like that, and none of them really go anywhere. So save your bread, guys. I'm not one of those guys that's gonna say like Coachella's overhyped and this and that, and you shouldn't go because I've never even gone. So I'm in no place to say that. But if you're in a constrained financial situation, or you're just a young guy with some money to your name, you're not supposed to drop it all on a car or your Coachella experience or a Vegas trip just because you have like $2,000 to your name. You get older and you figure out that's just rent money, and when you're that young and you have that couple $1,000s to your name, you can invest it. Like imagine I put that in Bitcoin. That $2,000 in Bitcoin in 2018, 2017, when Bitcoin was like, I think it was like way under $10,000, like maybe $5,000 or so. I don't know. I bought Litecoin months later, but that would have been a 20x, like that $2,000 from high school. That would have been 40 grand right now. So, it puts things in perspective. Do I think that the present do I think that the future value, $40,000, would have been worth the present value, $2,000 at that time? To just was here's how I should rephrase this. I don't know if you guys are finance students, but there is the present value formula, the net present value formula, right? It's like one of the first things that they teach you in finance classes. The present value of that Coachella ticket was like $700-800. Maybe the entire experience, the present value of that was going to be $1,500 to $2,000 in 2017 or 2018. The future value of that compounded over 6 years, um, that would have been $40,000 had I just put into something like Bitcoin, which is a speculative asset. I'm not saying put all your stuff into Bitcoin, but it puts things in perspective. That would have been the future value of putting it into that would have been the future value of that Coachella trip. Was that a $40,000 weekend? Probably not. Anyways, guys, that was my first video. I hope you enjoyed that. I have so many other stories, much more interesting stories that I'd love to share with you guys. But since it was Coachella weekend, I thought I'd talk about that. So enjoy yourselves, get through those finals. We're coming to the end of the semesters here. Don't drop the ball on the 5-yard line. A little bit more on that later, and I'll talk to you guys.